Episode 1, A Sudden Marriage. After having a little too much to drink at her bachelorette party, Emma Miller was very sleepy. Her fiancé, Nathan Davis, picked her up and brought her back to their apartment. He tucked her into bed in the dimly lit room, where she lay awake for a few minutes, unaware of her surroundings. Then, coming to her senses, she forced her eyes open against the pain of an excruciating headache. As her vision cleared, she could make out the figure of a man and woman across the room, kissing passionately. Emma tried to make sense of what she was seeing as she looked at the two kissing figures, who remained unaware that she had awoken. She felt anger begin to boil inside her. "Amber, stop messing around. Emma only just fell asleep," Nathan warned as he grasped the woman around her waist. "Afraid she'll wake up?" Amber responded in an annoying tone. "You're getting married tomorrow. Give yourself to me tonight." "Babe, you are such a troublemaker. Let's go to the other room." The man smiled seductively. "No, let's do it right here. I want to do it in front of her." Amber swiftly unbuttoned the man's shirt as her lips locked on his once again. Emma tried to hold back her tears, but she could feel them slowly trickling down her face. How could the man she was supposed to marry the next day be cheating on her? And right in front of her, too. "Behave," Nathan said. "Let's go into the bathroom. Isn't the tub your favorite place?" "Fine, you go in and fill the tub." Amber nudged his chest, pushing him toward the bathroom. Once Nathan had left the room, she tiptoed over to Emma and whispered, "Emma, I'm not going to let you and Nathan get married tomorrow. I'm pregnant and he's mine." Emma balled her hands into fists as she tried to process what was happening. But once she heard the moans of the couple in the bathroom, she realized that her world had fallen apart. 3 years ago, Emma had been a top model in New York. She'd given up everything to pursue her relationship with Nathan, even handing over hard-earned modeling work to Amber. But now, she realized, everything she had done had all gone toward preparing someone else to steal the man of her dreams. "No," she thought, trying to lie to herself. "This must be a dream, a horrible nightmare." Halfway through the night, Amber complained of feeling unwell, and Nathan led her out of the apartment. He didn't reappear, even though he was supposed to be marrying Emma the next morning. The next day, just as planned, Emma drove to City Hall for the ceremony. As she stepped out of her car, she called Nathan. His voice on the other end of the line was cold. "Amber was injured on stage and needs me. Let's put off the wedding until tomorrow." There will be no tomorrow, Emma thought to herself in disappointment. Walking back to her car, she felt the tears streaming down her face. She groped in her bag for her sunglasses. But then she felt her gaze drawn to a tall figure headed her way. She noticed the fitted navy retro suit, which hugged the masculine body underneath, and the corner of a wine-red handkerchief poking out of the suit's front pocket. The pants fit smoothly over his strong legs, and his polished shoes glistened in the sun. This man had an aura that radiated power, almost like some kind of royalty. As he got closer, even though he was wearing sunglasses, Emma noticed his chiseled face and strong jaw. His full lips were enough to drive any woman crazy. She felt a jolt as she recognized him. He was the CEO of Kaleidoscope Entertainment, Eric Roberts. Back when she was still famous, they'd met once at a ball. Was he getting married too? "Mr. Roberts, Miss Rose hasn't arrived yet. She's 10 minutes late," the assistant behind him reported. "Call her family and tell them that if they can't be on time for a wedding, they shouldn't bother coming at all," he responded coldly. "But your father's insistent that you have to get married today, no matter what," his assistant said timidly. "He doesn't care who it is. He's made it clear that he's done waiting for you to settle down. Then just pick someone else from my contact list. I'll give you a half an hour," the man ordered. He also has a dilemma, Emma thought, even though it's very different from mine. Eric Roberts had so much power that he could simply choose any woman he wanted. Unfortunately, even though he was one of the most eligible bachelors in town, He didn't seem to want anyone in particular. His only priority seemed to be getting his family off his back. Suddenly, an idea came to Emma. Wiping her tears with the sleeve of her dress, she took off her sunglasses and boldly approached the man. "Mr. Roberts, your bride hasn't arrived, and my groom has abandoned me. Why don't we get married instead?" The assistant couldn't believe his ears. How was this woman so daring? Eric removed his sunglasses, revealing a pair of inky dark eyes, the sun glinting off his eyes, making them glimmer like diamonds. After a short moment, he turned to his assistant and ordered, "Get me her details." Of course, the assistant already knew who Emma was. He grabbed his cell phone, did a quick search for her name, and showed the information to his boss. 2 minutes later, the man's lips twitched ever so slightly as he responded with one word. "Okay." Emma felt that meeting Eric was the luckiest thing that could have happened to her. He had no reason to use her. They wouldn't need to spend much time together, and he wouldn't require her to love him. He had no shortage of other women who would sleep with him, so she wouldn't have to worry about fulfilling that part of the marriage. Most importantly, marrying him would make Nathan regret what he'd done. The wedding passed in a blur. In less than 30 minutes, Emma held the marriage certificate in her hands. From now on, she was a wife, and Eric Roberts was her husband. "Mr. Roberts, can we talk?" Emma asked. "Just get in the car first." Eric put his sunglasses back on as he walked out of the building. The newly married couple sat in the back of his Rolls-Royce. Emma nervously looked at Eric before saying, "Thank you for marrying me. If you need anything from me in return, please let me know. I have 2 simple requests from you." "Well," he responded tiredly as he loosened his collar. "First, unless you don't have a choice, please don't reveal our relationship to anyone just yet. Second, I would appreciate it if you don't interfere in my personal matters. But don't worry, I have no intention of having a relationship with another man." Eric gave a slight smirk, and Emma felt his powerful aura sweep through the car. "I can promise you those 2 things for now, but after a 6-month trial, I will publicly announce our marriage." "That's fine with me," Emma nodded. "Also, I don't believe that a married couple should live apart. Take a few days to pack up your belongings, but then I'd like you to move in with me. My assistant Luke will be in touch to give you the address." Emma had no objections. She nodded again and said, "I agree." After they made their verbal agreement, Emma got out of Eric's car, got into her own, and drove away. Eric's assistant sat in the driver's seat and looked at his boss in the rearview mirror. "Mr. Roberts, do you want to return to the office? Or would you like to return to the mansion to give your family the news?" "Follow Emma and report her every move to me," Eric ordered and stepped out of the car. As the president of an international entertainment agency, he had heard Emma's name before. He remembered that she'd once been a famous model. 3 years ago, she had rejected an offer from a top entertainment agency, Star King, and gotten herself blacklisted. Eventually, she had announced that she was signing with Global Entertainment, and rumors of her relationship with Global's boss, Nathan Davis, had begun to swirl around the industry. Episode 2. Ready for Revenge. But Emma's story had only just begun. In all honesty, she had never realized she was so brave. She had actually married a stranger. And what was done was done. There was no point in having regrets. She returned to her car. Just as she was about to start the engine and head home, she received a phone call from Nathan. "Emma, where are you right now?" "Out in front of City Hall, about to go home," Emma replied casually, keeping her voice calm. "Amber has a very important show, and I need you to fill in for her right away. I'll tell the makeup artist to provide you with a mask. No one will be able to tell it's you." He was clearly talking to her as her boss, not as her fiancé. "Since Amber is injured, you'll have to take this on. Didn't you say that Amber got hurt on stage? If so, the media should already know she's injured." "True, but I've told them that she's still going to show up, even with her injuries." "I've told you what I need you to do, so just do it." He was absolutely shameless. In the past, Emma had done stupid things like this for Amber without even realizing she was being used, but she wasn't going to do it anymore. Emma stayed calm, at least on the outside. She said, "Okay, let me know the time and address, and I'll head over there now."
"Thank you, Emma. You and I are about to get married, and Amber's star is on the rise. You can help give her career a boost."
"I'll give her a boost for sure," Emma responded, keeping her hidden meaning to herself. "I'll hang up then. Let's have dinner later." Nathan had no idea that the tables had turned. He was probably sitting at Amber's bedside right now, tenderly watching over his secret lover. Emma hung up the phone and called her manager.
"Nathan wants you to stand in for that B-grade model?"
yelled Lisa.
"Is he joking? If you hadn't stepped away from the spotlight, she wouldn't even be working."
"Lisa, I've already agreed," Emma replied calmly.
"Are you really going to do this?"
Lisa was almost spitting in anger. When Emma had stepped back from her career, Lisa had been dragged down with her. Emma knew that Lisa just wanted to stick up for her. "You don't need to worry. I won't be stupid. I won't let them use me."
"Emma, are you saying you have a plan?"
"Lisa, from now on, I'm only trusting you. Can you help me with something?"
"Of course."
Amber is desperate to convince the media that she's attending the show because she doesn't want anything to hurt her chances for the Top 10 Model Awards. Can you help me by paying a visit to the hospital?
"I see what you're getting at. You want to prove that she was still at the hospital during the show and reveal it to the public."
"No, I have bigger news. She's pregnant, and the child is Nathan's. I want to tell the media that Nathan has used me over and over to fill in for Amber during her shows, but I need your help finding the evidence." Lisa was surprised at first, but quickly understood what was going on. She thought bitterly, such a shameless couple of cheats, and they've been using Emma like a puppet.
"Don't worry, Emma. You can count on me."
Emma felt unusually calm. She was going to treat them like they had treated her. Emma quickly gathered her belongings and drove to the venue for the show to meet with Amber's assistant, Gary, a married man with a muscular physique and a cunning personality. "What took you so long? Quick, come and get your makeup done." "What type of show is it today?" Emma asked as Gary hurried her down the hallway. "Nothing special," he replied. On her way there, Emma had done some research on the show. She knew that it was far more than nothing special. In fact, it was a jewelry show for the famous French brand Belle Amé. After this show, Amber would be able to sign on as Belle Amé's spokesperson. Her injuries would keep her from this opportunity unless Emma filled in for her. Amber's assistant had lied to her. Had she always been this easy to trick? Emma wondered. Because Amber is doing so well, she has her own makeup room, which you can use. Here's the schedule. You will appear in the grand finale, presenting this piece of jewelry, said Gary, pointing to the piece she would be wearing. Then he ordered the makeup artist to get started. Did Nathan really think that a mask would hide her identity? Although what she had in mind was a little more extreme. Emma was going to give the cheating couple the surprise of their lives. Meanwhile, Eric's assistant, Luke, had been following Emma's every move and overheard that she would be filling in for Amber. He reported back to Roberts, who ordered Luke to make arrangements. "I'm going to this jewelry show," he said. "Make it happen." "Yes, Mr. Roberts." Eric wanted to see his new wife in action. In the late morning, classical music was playing throughout the halls of the Brooklyn City Center. The show had begun. Emma's makeup was complete. She was now standing in front of the mirror in the dressing room. Her dress was white, tight-fitting, and long. It was simple, but elegant. Her beautiful golden mask gave off a mysterious aura. With her hair tied back from her face and adorned with a single white rose, she was absolutely stunning. Gary, Amber's assistant, was speechless. Even if Emma stands completely still, he thought, she'll still be the center of attention. Amber will certainly get the contract now. He told Emma, "You will descend onto the stage on a chair that will be lowered from the rafters. This bracelet is the crown star. Let me put it on you." Gary unclasped the bracelet and carefully put it around Emma's wrist. However, Emma was slimmer than Amber, and the bracelet was too big. With every small movement of her arm, it slid around. The gold bracelet had been designed by the founder of Bellamy for his beloved daughter. A crown encrusted with diamonds was the centerpiece, with a star set on either side of it, like two parents protecting their precious child. "It's too big," said Gary in a state of panic. "How are you going to wear it?" "Do you trust me?" Emma said. "Right now I have no other option," Gary said. "In that case, leave it to me," Emma reassured him. Amid all the commotion, the assistant did not notice the glint in Emma's eyes. Episode 3. Suspected of creating hype. Emma smiled and nodded, then lifted the hem of her dress slightly so that she could move quickly toward the back of the stage. With the mask in place, her face was fully concealed. Her legs, though, were unique. 3 years ago, one of Emma's claims to fame had been having the most beautiful legs in the world. Just as everyone thought the show had already reached its climax, Emma descended gracefully to the stage on a chair. The spotlights illuminated her, but the crown star was nowhere to be seen. Whispers ran through the crowd, while stylists and assistants frantically started searching for the jewelry that was meant to be the highlight of the show. Forgetting the audience, they even pushed back Emma's sleeves and raised the hem of her gown, displaying her lovely, pale, long legs. Legs so beautiful, they were unforgettable. Just as quickly as the whispers had started, they stopped. Emma elegantly raised her arm, tilted her head back, and lifted her left leg, striking a beautiful dance pose. The crown star appeared from under the white dress, sparkling magnificently around Emma's ankle. Everyone froze in amazement. The sight of Emma leaning back in the chair, flowing from one striking pose to the next, was mesmerizing. Most impressive of all, with every single pose, she presented the crown star in a different light, showing off its beauty over and over again. The audience rose to their feet and gave Emma a standing ovation. Among the crowd, hidden away at the back, Eric was completely focused on Emma. His new wife, once New York's top model, was in her glory. Standing in for a B-grade model, despite the 3 years that had passed since her last appearance, she was just as exciting as she'd ever been. She was born for the runway. After Emma's final pose, the show came to a satisfying end. Bellamy's founder, Julius Taylor, was thrilled with her performance and the crowd's reaction. But because he was backstage, he hadn't yet realized that the model on the runway was actually Emma, not Amber Lee. He walked out on stage and approached Emma. He offered his hand to help her off the chair, led her to the head of the runway, and then bowed to the audience. "Thank you, everyone, and of course, thank you, Amber, for a spectacular performance." Emma stayed silent, simply responding with an elegant nod of her head. Suddenly, a high-pitched voice said, "That isn't Amber. I know Amber, and she doesn't have such long legs." The applause stuttered. The voice called out again, "If you're Amber, take off your mask." Murmurs of doubt and disbelief multiplied and grew louder as the crowd began to wonder just who this phenomenal model was. "Miss Amber, please remove your mask," requested Julius. Emma hesitated, but then slowly slid the mask up her face as the audience held their breath. With the mask removed, the crowd immediately recognized her for who she really was. "It's Emma Miller!" Questions were being murmured all around the room. Emma had been blacklisted after stepping back from her work years ago, but would she really stoop so low as to impersonate another model? Whose idea was this? Was she deliberately creating hype, or had she been forced to step into this role? "Emma! It's actually Emma!" A swarm of reporters quickly surrounded her, peppering her with questions. "Miss Miller, could you please explain what's going on? Amber was supposed to be today's model. Why are you here instead? Miss Miller, you were blacklisted 3 years ago. Are you trying to take this opportunity to announce a comeback?" Miss Miller, are you taking advantage of Amber's injuries to steal her opportunity to represent Bellamy? Emma, are you just trying to create hype? You must have known Amber was injured. The reporter's questions grew more and more intense, and some people in the audience began shouting insults. Outdated, cheap has-been. Bellamy is Amber's gig. Give it back to her. Emma was already beginning to panic under the onslaught when Julius turned on her in fury. I am going to sue Global Pictures for breach of contract. I asked for Amber, not some third-rate model. He had no idea just how famous Emma had been 3 years ago. All he knew was that this controversy was ruining his show. I'll see you in court, he snarled at Emma. Get out of here. You do not deserve to be standing on my runway. His sharp voice echoed through the building, temporarily quieting even the reporters. But Emma couldn't move. She had prepared herself for this moment, but the humiliation still stung. Go on, get lost! Then, from the end of the stage, a deep voice cut through her shock. Well, it's clear that someone needs to get lost. Everyone turned to look for the source of the authoritative voice. There, standing at the edge of the stage, was Eric Roberts, the CEO of Kaleidoscope Entertainment. Everyone knew that Eric Roberts despised the games and the drama that the modeling industry was known for. People started wondering whether he was about to drag Emma off the stage. The entire hall seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for the axe to fall. A whoosh of surprise sounded as Roberts walked over to Emma and stood next to her. With the commanding tone of a man used to being in charge, he turned to Julius and said, "She's not the one that should get lost. You are. Your manners, it would appear, are not nearly as polished as your jewelry." Emma's heart stopped for a moment. Who would have thought that her new husband, a man she'd only just met for the 3rd time, would stand up for her like that? The reporters were stunned and began to worry. If they'd known earlier that Emma had ties with Eric Roberts, they would never have been so rude. Julius Taylor knew he could not afford to offend the CEO of Kaleidoscope Entertainment. After a few moments of silence, he reluctantly said, "My apologies, Mr. Roberts. I didn't know about your relationship with—" "I have no relationship with her," Eric responded. "I'm simply disgusted with your behavior." Eric began to walk away, but then turned back and announced, "Mark my words, this woman will be a star in the modeling industry again." Episode 4. The Hidden Marriage. The media were in a frenzy.
肌肤敏感总是无限循环，舒缓敏感，机缘才是关键。
Frenzy. What does Episode 4. The Hidden Marriage. The media were in a frenzy. What does Eric Roberts mean by this? Does he intend to sign Emma Miller? Is this some kind of joke? Whatever the explanation, the reporters no longer dared to focus on Emma. Instead, they shifted the blame to Global Pictures. Global's troubles began, and at first, Amber Lee's assistant received the blame. If he couldn't even handle such a small matter, what else would he do wrong? Emma seemed unfazed by the uproar, maintaining an expression of unruffled calm. She changed her clothes and left the event. As she stepped out of the side door, she spotted Eric Roberts' sports car waiting for her. "Get in, quickly," he said. Emma got in the car. She was exceptionally grateful for what he had done. "Thank you for today." Eric's eyes slightly narrowed as he smirked. "Did you think I would allow someone to bully my wife in front of everyone?" "Actually, I didn't deserve your help. I intentionally allowed everyone to figure out who I really was," she explained unapologetically. He looked her straight in the eyes. "I know, but you should have asked me for help. Sacrificing yourself to get back at someone is a bit self-destructive, don't you think?" "Maybe." "Where should I drop you off?" "Your home. Aren't we a married couple now?" Emma replied. Since she had made the decision to get married, she was not going to go back on her word, nor feel any regret. "Are you sure? Not only are we married, but tonight is our wedding night." Emma blushed, but nodded firmly. I am very thankful that you didn't reveal our relationship, but from now on, I insist that you stay neutral. I want to rely on myself to do what needs to be done. Eric did not protest. He enjoyed the idea of a woman who did not want to use him as a stepping stone to her own advancement. He decided to sit back and see what Emma could accomplish. The couple set off. Not long after, Emma received a phone call from her manager, Lisa.
Emma, I've already found evidence of Amber's pregnancy. What do you want me to do with it? Also, the scene you caused at the show today has gone viral. People are really turning against you online. What's the plan?
Lisa, are you willing to stick with me?
Do you even have to ask?
Lisa replied.
Would you really expect me to pick that cheating couple over you?
Then release the statement that I asked you to prepare earlier. But I need to be clear. By doing this, you'll be going up against Global Pictures.
I'm not afraid,
Lisa exclaimed.
We should have done this sooner. I'll prep the post now and release it before Nathan Davis has a chance to put something out first.
Emma hung up, and a peaceful silence settled in the car. But deep down, Emma was nervous. What did Eric think of her? She began to speak, but Eric interrupted. No need to explain. I heard your conversation just now. I heard it all. But I have one question. Have you always been this honest? They had pulled up at a red light, and Eric took the opportunity to reach out and gently turn her face toward him so he could examine her with his eagle-like gaze. I'll always be honest with you, and I really mean that, Emma said, revealing her loyalty. I don't want you to misunderstand what's going on and think badly of me. Eric was taken aback for a moment, but then he said, If I were you, I would take things even further. He must have guessed by now what was going on between Emma, Amber, and Nathan. His offer of support deepened Emma's appreciation for her new husband. She vowed to herself that, no matter what, she would remember that day and the promises she made to Eric forever. Meanwhile, Nathan was reeling in disbelief from receiving the news of Emma's exposure on stage. At the same moment, he received a call from Justin Taylor, notifying him of Bellamy's intention to take Global Pictures Entertainment to court for breach of contract. In an instant, Global had gotten itself into a heap of trouble, and rumors were spreading across the internet like wildfire. Amber, focused on the video of Emma's performance on stage, pulled Nathan towards her. Look, she wanted to be recognized. She knows the biggest difference between us is our legs. She did it on purpose. Amber, Emma isn't like that. And you know it's not the first time she stood in for you. So, what you're saying is that you trust her? Don't be stupid, Nathan. Someone's going to have to take the blame for all this. Do you really want to lose the Bellamy contract? Do you want to tell everyone that you were the one who asked Emma to stand in for me? If you do that, it'll be the end for us. What are you suggesting? For the sake of Global Pictures, you need to make an announcement. You need to tell everyone that you were completely unaware of any of this. And the whole thing was just Emma trying to create hype. You can say that's why she went behind our backs and pretended to be me. I guess, under the circumstances, that's all we can do. Nathan nodded in agreement. But as he was about to pick up the phone to contact Global's head of PR, he received a call from his assistant. Quick, Mr. Davis, check the headlines. Emma's manager has just broken a story. Nathan quickly jumped online to search the news feeds. To his disbelief, he saw that Emma's manager was already a step ahead of them. She had revealed that Nathan had forced Emma to stand in for Amber multiple times over the past 3 years. She had even posted pictures of the two models as proof and had claimed that Emma had been bullied for many years. Seething with anger, Nathan contacted Emma's manager. Lisa, are you crazy? Lisa's laughter resounded on the other end of the call. She calmly responded, I wanted to leave your lousy company for a long time, and hung up the phone. Nathan, this is definitely Emma's doing, Amber said. Quick, we need to cover it up somehow. Nathan immediately started contacting his connections in the media. He quickly had them prioritizing posting the announcement he had prepared earlier, alleging that Emma was just trying to grab the spotlight. In no time at all, Emma and Global Pictures Entertainment were trending. No one was aware of the relationship between Emma and Eric Roberts, and no one was brave enough to risk offending Nathan Davis. So at first, Emma was definitely on the wrong side of public opinion, attracting an avalanche of hateful comments. Just as it started to look like her reputation had been damaged beyond repair, the term Emma stand-in jumped to the top of search rankings. Search results were all leading to the news Lisa had released earlier, that Emma was the real victim. Lisa's story had come out first, and the online community made their own decisions. On top of everything else, the fact that Emma had filled in for Amber so many times without causing any trouble and was still being used became the deciding factor. Opinion turned strongly in Emma's favor. In disbelief, Nathan picked up his phone and contacted his PR team, ordering them to spend however much it took to discredit Emma and bury her news. Meanwhile, Eric was on calls with his contacts. If Emma's name disappears from the search rankings, you and your company are done. Episode 5, Wedding Night. The media couldn't afford to get on the wrong side of Kaleidoscope Entertainment, even though they didn't understand why Eric Roberts' company would be helping Emma. Even Lisa didn't understand why their plan had run so smoothly. She'd expected it to take at least a few days. Emma, tell me, are you getting support from another company? No, Emma replied as she glanced at the man beside her. There is someone who's been helping me behind the scenes, but I can't reveal who he is yet. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Just the thought of Nathan's distraught face is enough to keep me going for now. Lisa assumed Emma was getting help from her family. Like everyone else, she had no idea that Emma had, in fact, suddenly become the wife of Eric Roberts, the king of entertainment. Are you trying to use this opportunity to leave Global? Eric asked once he and Emma had sat down to dinner at a classy hotel restaurant. No, that would be letting them off too easy. I'm going to tear them down, she said with relish. Plus, I've decided to properly get back to modeling. I'm not as well known in the industry as I used to be, so Global may still be of some use. You're thinking like this right now because you're angry. What if one day you don't hate Nathan anymore? I've made my decision, and I won't regret it, let alone turn back, Emma said firmly. When she was in love, she would love with all her heart. When she hated someone, she wanted to tear them apart with her bare hands. On top of everything else, Emma was angry that Nathan hadn't even called to check in on her. Instead, he'd just gone ahead and released news that could easily ruin her. There was no way she was going to let him hurt her again. Eric remained silent, but he was very intrigued by his new wife. Emma wasn't stupid. In fact, she was very smart. She knew she couldn't hide anything from Eric, so she decided to reveal everything to him. Good or bad, there was no holding back. All that existed was trust. Eric said, I've asked my assistant to arrange a room in this hotel. Tonight, we'll stay here. My house is no fun. Emma's ears flushed red as she nodded. That's up to you. Meanwhile, Nathan was calling everyone he knew, trying to smooth things over with the media and his business partners. That, coupled with the news of Amber's pregnancy, was enough to drive any thought of Emma's well-being from his mind. After a romantic dinner, Eric took Emma's hand and led her to the hotel's penthouse. She was shocked to see that it wasn't just a regular penthouse. It was the wedding suite. Even under such hectic conditions, he'd somehow managed to have this arranged. She couldn't help but feel touched by his consideration. She was still nervous, though, and Eric could sense it. He took off his suit jacket as he turned to her and said, I'll have a shower first, so you can have some time to make a decision. There's no pressure. If you're not sure, we can put off any official wedding night activities until another time, if and when you feel ready. She felt grateful for his thoughtfulness as she watched him head into the bathroom. But after all, they were already married. He was a good man, and there was no denying the attraction she felt for him. Finally making her decision, she pushed the door open and joined Eric in the bathroom. He looked at her in surprise as she stepped into the shower, fully dressed, and embraced him. I have no regrets about marrying you. Are you sure? His deep voice was sexy enough to strike a chord in anyone's heart. I'm absolutely certain. Hearing her response, Eric allowed himself to act on his feelings. With one hand, he grabbed her by the waist and pressed his lips against hers. With the other, he undid her dress, which was now soaking wet. Emma's senses were buzzing. She'd never experienced a kiss like this before. It felt so magical that she was losing control. Standing under the shower, she looked up at her husband's face. Completely mesmerized, she examined his face. She noticed the diamond-shaped mole on his earlobe and his passionate eyes that looked like they could draw her into his soul. Unable to wait any longer, Eric pulled Emma out of the shower, wrapped her in a towel, and scooped her up in his arms to carry her out to the rose-petal-covered bed. He put on protection and lay down on top of her. But just as he was about to enter her, he felt an obstruction. Emma cried out in pain. Eric pulled back quickly and wrapped her in the blanket. He'd assumed, since Emma was in the entertainment industry and in a relationship with Nathan, that this couldn't possibly be her first time. But the feeling just now made him quite sure that she had never engaged in sexual activity before. What's wrong? Emma noticed Eric had stopped and couldn't help but lift her head up to question him, her face blushing attractively. Let's wait for another time. He felt bad for having misunderstood her. If I'd continued, I would have hurt you. He put on his robe and returned to the bed, trying to control his desires. He didn't want her first time to be bad. Why didn't you tell me you had no experience? I didn't know how to bring it up, she responded as she huddled up against his shoulder. He rose, lifting her up and headed back to the bathroom. Are you hurt? Looking at the worried expression on his face, she couldn't help but let out a laugh. You are nothing like the outside world portrays you. What did you think I would be like? He placed her gently into the bathtub and turned on some water. A dictator with complete control over the life and death of his entertainers. A person with no humanity. Well, to other people, I am like that. But you're different. Since you're my wife and you're so trusting of me, I'll show you my true self. But Emma, I must warn you. To me, a lie is a lie. If you betray me, I will never forgive you. She sat up, her nose almost touching his. What a coincidence. I feel the same way. That night, their physical relationship was only beginning, but their hearts had drawn closer together. The next morning, Emma awoke to the blinding light of the sun shining through the window. To her surprise, the spot beside her in bed was empty. She thought Eric had already left, but she found him waiting for her in the living room while flipping through some documents. I ordered some new clothes for you. We'll leave as soon as you're ready. She nodded as she turned toward the bathroom. At that moment, her phone rang. It was Nathan. Emma looked at Eric awkwardly as he charmingly lifted one eyebrow and asked, Do you want me to pick it up?